Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this annual reporting webinar. My name is Nikki Castagnetto, and I'll be walking you through this PowerPoint. My colleague, Heather Beckner, will do some mock reporting for you midway through this presentation. We are holding this webinar to assist mattress recyclers, renovators, and solid waste facilities to meet their annual reporting requirements. Please do not try to use the webinar chat function. Email all of your questions to the Mattress's email address listed on this slide. You may want to write it down in case you think of questions later on in this presentation, and we will show it again at the very end. Here is the outline of what we will be covering in this webinar. First, we will discuss who is required to report to CalRecycle under the used mattress law. Then we will discuss and demonstrate how to report by logging into the reporting database. Then we will take a look at the resources available to you to assist you in tracking your data throughout the year. And at the end of the webinar, we will respond to all the questions you've submitted to our Mattress mailbox. Okay, let's get started. I just want to start off by saying that last year there was some confusion about reporting to CalRecycle, and we realized that some of you already report directly to MRC or also to CalRecycle for other programs. Hopefully the following definitions and examples will clarify who is required to report to us. By law, all mattress renovators, recyclers, and solid waste facilities that accept under their normal operating conditions use mattresses from the public, regardless of whether or not they contract with the Mattress Recycling Council, are required to annually report information regarding the renovation, recycling, and/or disposal of used mattresses and foundations and box springs. A mattress recycler is a person that engages in the manual or mechanical separation of mattresses to substantially recover components and commodities contained in mattresses for the purpose of reuse or recycling. A frequent question that we had last year during the reporting cycle was that recycling centers were wondering if they needed to fill out a mattress recycling report even though they were only a collection point for mattresses. And the short answer is no, because they do not mechanically separate the mattresses and therefore they do not meet the definition of a mattress recycler. However, if they meet the definitions of solid waste facility, they are required to submit a solid waste facility annual report. If there's any confusion on whether or not you fit into these definitions, contact us and we will be happy to help you. A mattress renovator is a person who renovates used mattresses for the purpose of sale or offering for sale in the state. Initially, several retailers were entered into our database and staff learned that they were only selling mattresses, not refurbishing or renovating them. If you fall into this category and you are strictly a retailer, contact us and we will work with you to remove you from the database because you do not have to report to us. A solid waste facility that accepts under its normal operating conditions used mattresses from the public for collection, storing, and handling, whether for recycling or disposal, are required to report. In addition, solid waste facilities that deconstruct mattresses on site are also required to fill out a recycler report. If you fall into this category and you do not see the recycler report available to you when you log in, contact us and we will work with you to get that added to your account. An example of a question we received last year is, what if I'm a solid waste facility and I do not accept mattresses from the public, but if you sneak in through mixed loads, am I required to report? If someone from the public cannot drop off a mattress to your facility, you are not required to report. Although you are not required to report, we would appreciate this data, and if you're willing to voluntarily track it and report the used mattresses you occasionally receive, we would be interested in having that information and we'll work with you, so just let us know if you're interested. So why is it important that you all report? First, we really appreciate you all taking the time to report to us. This is how many people reported to us last year. The data you report is very important because it is used to set the state mattress recycling baseline and goals for California. This data has an impact on the mattress recycling program and affects mattress management within the state. We include these statistics because we've heard from stakeholders, in particular renovators, that the reporting was significantly low. For example, we only had 6 renovators report to us, and they only reported a total of about 150,000 units. We are required by law to ensure that renovators are not impacted by the program, and without this data, we are unable to evaluate this. In order to monitor the impact of the program, increase recycling, and reduce the disposal of mattresses, it is critical that the department receives the most accurate and complete data. Annual reports are due to CalRecycle by May 1st annually. Failure to report may lead to enforcement action, including administrative civil penalties. Last year, the department focused its efforts on providing education to retailers, renovators, and solid waste facilities that needed to report through phone calls. We sent messages through our listserv and the database, as well as direct email communication. In November, past due notices were sent out to anyone who failed to report with specific action items such as creating your web pass and being prepared to report for 2017, as well as notifying the department if they felt they were not required to report. Now we're going to discuss reporting to CalRecycle. You will need to log into the reporting database to submit your annual report using a web pass. If you already have a web pass with CalRecycle for other CalRecycle reporting, such as Swiss or Logic, you can use the same login information. When you forget your password, because at some point you will, you can reset it by using the second link on this slide. If you don't have a web pass yet, you can contact us and we'll work with you to get you added to the database. If you did not write down our email address, don't worry, it will be on the last slide again. Now I'm going to pass off to my colleague Heather, and she's going to walk you through the reporting database.
Okay, so I'm just going to switch screens here, so just give me a moment. All right, so now everyone should be seeing the login screen for our reporting database. Although you won't see this testing, this is just a test environment for the purposes of the webinar. So this is where you will enter your email address. And then your password. If after you log in here you get an error message that I just did, one, it could be your password is incorrect, or it could be that you do not have permissions to enter the database. So if you get that error message, go ahead and send an email to our Mattress mailbox and we will get you all set up that way. Wow. Account does not have permission to access. Just like this, we're getting an error. Hold on, bear with me just one moment. First technical difficulties of our webinar experience. Number one. And four. hopefully this isn't everything that you all have been experiencing with logging in. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to have you, actually what we're going to do is we're going to come back to this and we'll let Nikki go ahead and finish going through the rest of the PowerPoint, and I will figure out how to get us into the database.
Okay, back to the PowerPoint. Okay, so we created these tracking spreadsheets for you to use throughout the year to track the required data. We know some of you may keep your records in other ways and you're not required to use these spreadsheets, but you might find them useful. I'm going to go ahead and open them so you can see what they look like. Here is a recycler spreadsheet. As you can see, all the questions on the spreadsheet match what is in the database. And this will fulfill any record-keeping requirements you may be asked to provide if you are inspected by the department. So I'll go ahead and scroll over. As you can see, they're the exact same questions as in the database. So as long as you keep these filled out, you'll be prepared to report. And I will go ahead and show you. This is the renovator spreadsheet. Same thing. And then solid waste facility. And the link at the bottom of the slide will take you to our Mattress annual reporting database, or excuse me, information page, where you'll find a link to the database and a frequently asked questions document that we put together that we continuously update as we encounter questions from you guys, so please email us with those. You'll also find a link to this webinar that is being recorded and will be on there, as well as these tracking spreadsheets. Here is a graphic to recap the annual reporting procedures. First, you must obtain a web pass with CalRecycle or link your existing CalRecycle web pass. Then you must log into the database and confirm your contact information is up to date and then enter your data. When you're done, you hit the submit button, and remember, reports are due by May 1st annually. Please note that you cannot submit reports all year long. There are reporting cycles that open and close, and these dates vary slightly year to year. If you log into the database and you're unable to hit start, select, or edit a report, it means the reporting cycle is closed or hasn't opened yet for that year. If the reporting cycle is closed for that year, you'll be unable to submit a report and you'll be subject to enforcement. If the reporting cycle hasn't opened yet for the year, a message will be sent out through the database, so make sure your contact information is up to date so you'll receive those messages.
Okay, we're going to try a different link to log in. I'm going to go into your email here.
Bear with us a minute.
All right, and we're logged into the database. So this is what everybody would see when they successfully were able to get into the database. So this is the home screen, and what you'll see here is a list of all of the annual reports that you are required to complete. So if you have multiple facilities under your linked to your web pass, or if you have more than one role, like you're a recycler and a solid waste facility, you should see all of those listed here. And then on the right-hand side, this will show you that if any of your reports haven't been submitted, what's left to complete, that's what you'll see over here. If you've started a report and didn't actually complete it and hit submit, it'll show in progress here. And then if you, whatever you have actually submitted to the department will be listed over here. So to get started, and we'll go ahead, we'll start with the recyclers report. You'll hit, since this one is already in progress, it says select. If it's new, you haven't done anything, it'll show start. So I'm going to start with the recyclers report. And I'm going to go ahead and hit edit so that we get the full annual reporting experience. I'm going to actually rewind. I would like everybody to take a look at the top here. You'll see some tabs that are available. When you first log in, we ask that you verify that all of the information that is in here, so your organization name, any contacts that will be reporting for you, if you have more than one person who works at the facility that you want access to, everybody has to be added into the contacts field and have a web pass. So you can go ahead and add them as a contact. Again, they'll have to create a web pass, and then if they aren't able to get in, send an email to us, because we'll have to go ahead and grant them access permissions on our end as well. Under the addresses tab, you'll see if you have a physical address that's different from your mailing address, that would show up here. And then all of the addresses for your facilities will be shown here. So a lot of this information was pre-populated from other CalRecycle databases or information from the Mattress Recycling Council. So it's really important that you verify that it's all correct. And if it's not, you as an entity are kind of limited in what you can correct or make changes to. So if something isn't correct or something is missing, please let us know, and we will get it right in the database and make sure that everybody has permissions to log in and enter the information. If you go back to the annual reports tab, now we'll actually start a report, and we'll start with the recyclers report. One thing that you may notice if you are a recycler and this is your second year reporting is the questions look slightly different. There are more material categories, and some of the names changed, and that's to be in line with the reporting categories to the Mattress Recycling Council. And we wanted to make sure that we captured all of the components that are in the mattresses. So I'm going to go ahead and just enter some numbers. This is the number of units that were received from California sources. If you received any units that were from non-California sources, you would hit yes and enter this number. If you did not receive any units from outside of California, you just go ahead and leave no. For the calculation method, so if you used exact counts, that thing would select that. If your calculation method was invoices, or if you have a conversion factor, or if it doesn't fit into any of those specific categories, select other, and then tell us just briefly what your calculation method was for tracking. I'm going to go ahead and select exact count. Then of the units received, how many were recycled? Okay. And then how you determined what was recycled. If any units were sent out of California for recycling or other disposition, you would say whether or not they were. And then you're going to go ahead and just enter all of these categories and select what the end use was. If you sold foam in your recycler to a renovator, you could select reuse. Or if it's going into the commodities market to become a new product, you would select product. If it doesn't fit into one of those, again, we have the other option, and you can just manually enter in the text box what that use was. It's the same for all of the product categories with the exception of wood. because wood has the option of going to biomass. So, and that has a very specific definition which is included on those tracking spreadsheets that Nikki pointed out. So if you're unsure, again, you can select other and tell us what that is. And you do have the ability to select more than one option for what the end uses were. Just going to go ahead and put in some numbers here to make sure that we have everything completed when we submit our report. I like the number 500 apparently. Just moving through here so that I can show you what it looks like when you have successfully submitted a report. So pounds of residual materials disposed. This was one of the questions that we have heard from our enforcement counterparts, that what does that mean? That's basically everything else that was taken off of the mattress during the recycling process or the renovated process that's going to get sent to landfill. So if you receive units that were contaminated or rejected for some other reason, this is where you would enter that. And then what did you do with those units? Were they sent to a recycler who maybe had the ability to do something with those units? Were they sent to landfill? Again, we always have this other. If it doesn't fit into one of those little boxes, just tell us what that was. If you entered 0 and you recycled all of the units that were received, you do have the option to select not applicable. So I'm going to go ahead and hit submit, and it's going to tell me that I missed something. So this means that a report was not successfully submitted, and it tells you why. So pounds of wood, apparently I missed my 500. I'm going to try again, hit submit. Again, other uses is required. Did I? Oh. Just so we can see the process. All right. After you have successfully submitted a report, you'll get this exclamation point. Congratulations, your annual report has been submitted. If for some reason you find out that you missed a month's worth of invoices and that didn't get included, you do have the ability to edit a report by hitting edit. It will not let you resubmit until you enter a reason why you are changing your report. So I'm going to say missed February data, and then it'll allow me to resubmit. And sometimes the database is a little bit slow, so bear with us. All right, so I've successfully amended my report. The department is now in receipt, and that box is checked. To get back to all of the reports that need to be submitted, you can hit annual reports over here, and I'm just going to move right along to a renovator's report. So this is a new report. This is where we'll just go ahead and enter how many units were received. And this is good to point out that units means both the mattress and the foundation. So a mattress is one unit, a foundation is another unit. I'm going to stick with my 500. Renovators are required to report and track if they received non-California sources. Just enter a number. What was your calculation method? Again, did you exactly count each unit or did you use invoices? The renovators report have the option to track the units that were renovated by size. So if you did, it'll open a series of boxes for the different sizes. We added, this is new to the 2017 cycle, for any size that doesn't fit into the standard twin, full, queen, or king, you can enter if there were any other sizes, custom size mattresses. And then the number of renovated units sold. You would enter that information here. You'll notice that there are little locks next to these fields, so this is confidential information that is just reported to the department but is not released to the public in order to protect any proprietary or confidential information. Just going to continue through completing the report. Were any mattresses sent out of California for recycling? If you select no, it won't open a field. But if you select yes, it'll ask you to report how many. And then this is the pounds of fabric that were removed, for example, the quilt panels. And if at any time during your reporting you feel like you don't know how to answer one of the questions, you can always save the report here. You can contact somebody at CalRecycle, Nikki or myself, or send an email to our shared box. And we'll be happy to help you if you don't know the answer, if you specifically didn't weigh that material. It is required. But Nikki and I will be able to help you come up with some way to either estimate or figure out how to proceed. So just contact us and we'll guide you through the specifics. I'll just continue. If any units were rejected that you received at your facility for any reason, you would enter that here. And then what did you do with those rejected units? If you are a renovator and felt like you had too many twin mattresses and couldn't renovate anymore and you sent them to be recycled, you put that here. Or if they were sent to landfill, you could select that. And any of the residual material, so any of that extra foam, or you had too many box springs, so the wood, what did you do with it? Was it sent to another renovator? Was it sent to a recycler to become a new product? If you select other, you have the option again to tell us. If you sent it to a recycler and you aren't sure what the recycler is doing with it, you can select other and then say you sent to a recycler. If you're unsure if it's being reused or put into a new product, that is always an option. I'm going to go ahead and submit this report. Hopefully I got all of the fields. And of course, I didn't put something in other. Try again. My annual report was successfully submitted. Now we'll take you back to, so this shows me that I have 3 reports submitted and 1 outstanding. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, and that's the solid waste facilities report. Again, this is another opportunity if you didn't go through the tabs to verify all of the information, it's all here as well. Just make sure that that's all correct. For the solid waste facility report, we did hear from a number of folks last year some confusion about whether or not they didn't track non-California versus California sources, which isn't a requirement for solid waste facilities. But if you did track, and the department does appreciate that information, and you have the ability to say, yes, you did, and if you did, how many did you receive from non-California sources? If you didn't track it, you can go ahead and just select no. And then did you send any mattresses out of California? If you have a load checker who is spotting mattresses as they come in, and you're using an exact count as your calculation method. Or again, whatever you're using, you have the ability to briefly describe what that is. But I'm not doing other anymore because I don't want to enter other. How many of those units that you received were landfilled? We hope not many, but we know that it happens. If for some reason they were in bad shape, again, contaminated, landfill is what you would enter there. Another question that we got from solid waste facilities, or when we were doing our data quality check, you can see here, this is what was sent to a recycler. 300. There's also the option to enter if you recycled any on-site. So again, this is if you are mechanically or physically separating those units at your facility, that's where you would enter that information. If a recycler is picking them up for you or you're sending them to a recycler, you would enter it here, sent to recycler. And it's same for if you have a partnership with a renovator to pick up units, you would enter that here. Or if you are renovating on site, which I know is, I don't think we had anybody report that last year, but just in case, you have the ability to enter that here. Just note that if you do enter here, if you are doing recycling on site, Nikki and I review these reports, and you will get the recycler designation added to your account, and then that will add another report for you to complete in the future. And then we hit submit, and my annual report has been submitted. So just to verify everything, you can go to your annual reports page. None of these are showing start, so that means they're complete. On the home page, it'll say nothing is left in progress. Last year we had a number of people who thought they completed their annual reports, and maybe they hit save and not submit. So this is just another way to double, triple check and make sure that everything that you have on your to-do list is completed. And that concludes all of the reports in the database, how to successfully report. I'll just go back to this, and if anybody has any questions, feel free to send it to our mattresses at calrecycle.ca.gov. If you haven't already signed up for the mattress listserv, please do so. It helps you to stay up to date on anything that's changing or just any happenings in the mattress world. And it looks like we have a question. So the question is, first question, is the reporting period currently open? The answer is yes, and a message will be going out to everybody through the database. The reporting cycle is now open, so you can go in and report away. Second question was, will the presentation be made available after the webinar? And that's also a yes. Just give us a couple days at max to get the recording posted, and we will send another listserv message out notifying everybody. It will be posted on the Mattress annual reporting webpage here that Nikki talked about. So yes, the webinar will be available, and yes, the reporting cycle is open. So get those annual reports in by May 1st. And contact us if you need any help, if you can't get in, if you're frustrated, we're here to help. I'll put our contact information back up. And we'll wait just a few moments to see if any more questions come through. So I think we checked the calendar, and May 1st falls on a Tuesday this year. So there's that. Should have plenty of time to get those in. Okay. We will go ahead and conclude this webinar. If you think of something afterwards, please don't hesitate to send it to us. And happy reporting.